Welcome to Hickory Street Podcast. I'm Michael Zamora, and this is Pierce
Asibelua.
Asibelua. I've only heard you pronounce it like twice.
A few times, yeah. It's a very Nigerian last name. Asibelua.
It's cool.
What's up, y'all? Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
I super appreciate you. I'm excited to be catching up on a recording and also catching up.
Right, yeah. I mean, we saw each other a few months ago.
What was it like?
Whenever I just went over to your place and we chilled. Did we do something before that? I don't think so.
It wasn't, I guess, before
we went over to
you went over to Karen's place
and
hung
then
out
from
with
there we
left. Yeah. So.
And that was the first time I had seen you since like
in a while.
2 years before the pandemic or something crazy.
I think like it was the first time since I moved back from Colorado, right?
No, I had seen you once before then, I think. Whenever you moved back from Colorado,
because that was in 2018.
Right, we met up at, was it Rip Rocks?
Yes.
Yeah, we met up at Rip Rocks with Chris and some of your other friends.
Chris, probably Barrett and... Wait, no, Barrett would have still been in Colorado.
Yeah, but I don't think Barrett is.
Chris, Chris came, but he wasn't drinking at the time.
It was like it was like a lifeguard dude that worked with you guys at UNT.
At UNT, Caleb maybe. Caleb?
I don't know. And then it was like two girls that used to work there with you guys too.
Anna Issa, and Anna Issa was definitely there.
Yeah,
I'm vaguely putting this night back together.
it was a weird night. It was pretty funny.
Smoked a lot of cannabis since then, so memory gets foggy sometimes.
Yeah, Chris was wildin'.
So he might have still. Was he still drinking back then? Maybe. I don't know.
No. Oh, you know what? I've got a funny story about that night you never even knew happened. Oh. So, remember we were just hanging out and drinking. Mm-hmm. We got kind of messed up, and then there was that random guy that nobody knew who just like walked up to our table, and we started hanging out, and he was like kind of loud, had tattoos. He was like really funny.
Oh, was this the same night? Oh, I think this was the same night that I do, yeah. Okay. I do remember that dude. Yes. Yeah. Continue, sorry.
Okay, so funny story about that. So like at the end of the night whenever everybody was leaving, he was asking for a ride to like his hotel because he wasn't from here. He was from like Minnesota, and he was only here for a funeral or something. Okay. So we got to. I remember I wasn't like shit faced or anything, but like I was kind of drunk, and I remember like talking to the guy and figured out that he was a musician too. So we started chatting up music while you guys were all talking about other stuff, and then we walked back to my apartment because I was going to give him a ride to where he needed to go. And it was such a weird night. Like, we came across some people skating, and like this dude was obviously fucked up on something.
Oh man.
And it was pretty bad. And he was like, he was like cussing at the
other dude?
Yeah, Steven was his name. Okay. And so like he was cussing at Steven, and Steven was like cussing back to him, and then he stopped for a second, and then he like kept walking, and it was like, yo, it's like 2:00 in the morning.
It is like 2:00.
Oh man, I was like flipping out. I was like, hopefully I'm not about to see a fight go down, but everything was fine. So we finished walking back to my apartment, and it's like almost 3 a.m. by that point, and then at the time I had an electronic drum set up in my living room, and so my roommate was asleep, and he was, we were both drunk, and like he was just like super excited to like talk to me about music, and he was like, "Let me see your band, bro." And I like showed him some music of the band. He's like, "Oh, this is badass." And he's like, "You have an electric kit? I love drums, dude. I love drums." And he got on the electric kit at like 3:00 in the morning and was like, da-da-da, and it's like going fucking hardcore. He was like a big dude, and I was like, why did I agree to take this guy home? and so my roommate like comes down, and he was so cool about it, man. He was like, "Hey, could we not do that right
now?"
And I was like, "Yeah, man, I'm sorry."
Not right now, yo.
And I was like, "Yeah, man, I'm sorry. I'm taking him to his hotel. We stopped by here so I can get my truck, because I walked to the bar that night. And I was like, I'll just walk. It's Denton.
Yeah.
So, anyways, I took him over to the hotel he was staying at, and then he like followed the band on Facebook and Instagram and stuff, and then kept up with us for like 2 years, and he still will randomly view our posts and such. And like whenever he went back home to Minnesota or wherever it was, he was like sending me messages and was like, "Hey man, I'm actually a poet too. I'm putting out these poems. They're actually being published and stuff." I was like, "Can you check it out?" And he was like, "Dude, I'm still digging your music." And this was like a year or two later. I was like, "Yeah, this is cool." Yeah. Some guy that I just randomly met some night.
Artist totally is.
Yeah. So that may be one of the reasons why I actually remember the last time I saw you before a few months ago. But yeah,
that is a very standout experience.
Yeah, I tend to get myself into like strange experiences and situations like
probably that. Why we're friends.
Exactly. So that was kind of a funny thing. But anyways, let's talk about you.
Yeah. What's that? Shoot. So
you have been somewhat of a dabbling musician for a very long time.
Yeah,
you know, a lot of musician friends. You've introduced me to a lot of musician friends. So talk about, I guess, like how you came in contact with a lot of these people. How you got into playing music.
So definitely church influence was in choir at Irving Bible Church. There was this kind of like children's worship leader group called Shout Out that we were all part of. That was like choreography and shit like that. So started there, and then we were working closely with the worship team, and IBC's got a bomb ass worship team, and most of those folks are professional musicians anyway. Like like Air Review, a lot of their members and work at IBC.
So like Jackie telling me about all that. So that's how you knew Jackie then too?
Yeah, well, I knew Barrett through homeschooling, through Sea Life from Irving. So that was like an Irving homeschool group, like an old Irving homeschool group, and we were both a part of that. And then there were these things like homeschool gym games at the rec center that were held while people were in school and stuff for PE. And that's where I met Barrett. And then at 5, 6 we broke up quick, and then Jackie. And so I've known Richard since I was like 5, 6, 7 or whatever. And then the other music friends, it was kind of just like, when did I start playing bass? I want to say I was like 13, I decided I want to play the bass. So it's like the guitar's too hard. Chords are hard. And I've got tiny hands. Got tiny lady hands. They're dainty. Good for playing the piano. And I played the piano for a while. And that was fun. But I was like, I want to play guitar. And I chose the bass. So I learned from this dude, Tyrell North. Shout out Tyrell. Super cool. He was a part of... what's that band called? I think they're still together now. He's not playing in them. Something Masked of Vaudeville, something of Vaudeville. They dress up. They like to wear vests and top hats and stuff like that. Masquerade of Vaudeville.
What kind of music did they play?
It was pretty I forget, honestly. I forget what it's. I haven't heard them in a while.
They sound like a classy band.
I think it was like gothy. It was kind of like gothy, heavy stuff.
Oh, okay. That attire kind of works with that
like,
too.
Kind of like the metal showmanship, you know what I'm saying? Because they were like a Dallas Deep Ellum band, and it was definitely during that era of a lot of the metal indie phase in Dallas for sure. And then high school, a lot of folks were rapping and making music and stuff. So like, I mean,
were you still homeschooling during
I was
high school?
homeschooled all the way up until I started at Northlake College.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. So I just started dual credit at Northlake College in 2009. So that was like what? I don't know. I'm bad with numbers. I forget what grade I was.
That would have been like your junior.
Yeah, something like that. Junior, sophomore year of high school.
Because you're like a year or two older than me, I think, right?
I think so. Yeah, I was born in '93, and I graduated.
Yeah, okay, you're a year older than me.
2011.
Yeah.
But what you call it? Yeah. Casper. He was always playing music, and then Cameron McLeod, him, and both the Camerons, both the Camerons, Cameron Casper, Casper Cameron, both the Camerons were writing together in Flomo Sapiens, and from that I met like Terrence and Nate and just all these people who were, were just collabing, we're going to shows together, and we're all trying to rap at Dad's or The Door or Profit Bar and stuff like that. So I was just going to shows. I was going to shows anyway. What you call it? My homie Shiloh. He had his grandparents had like a warehouse space, and so what was it? Like after I graduated, him and his friends wanted to throw a show because his best friend John, and then Paul Eiler, and then Bran were all part of Colonel Crunch and the Cereal Bowls that went to North Hills.
That's
right?
a funny band name.
Right? And they went to North Hills, and of course I think, didn't Gabe and Lucas also go to North Hills, I believe?
I think so. That was like a private high school. Right?
Yeah, it's a charter school that was over there off Royal. So that's how I met Gabe, Lucas, and Spencer of The Perjury when they were still playing together before Lucas and Gabe started Duo Contra. And The Perjury was awesome. They were so good.
Yeah.
I miss them playing together. Gabe's so good. I need to talk to him sometime soon.
I still check in with him every now and then. We've been trying to get together for a while now, but it's just scheduling.
Oh yeah,
adult stuff.
Stuff, I caught up
stuff
with,
gets in the way.
Lucas at the Cure for Paranoia show at Wits End.
Oh really?
It was really cool. I totally forgot him and I have the same birthday.
That's funny.
Yeah. I think
when is your birthday?
May 10th, or is his birthday May 11th? Our birthdays are either on the same day or like right after each other.
That's funny. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's cool. I saw Lucas about a year ago, I guess, whenever he was on the podcast, and he was telling me about some like people that he has been hanging out with and playing music with, and he does a lot of like contract work, basically.
Yeah.
Like, he just someone would hit him up and be like, hey man, we need a violinist, or hey, we need a guitarist, or hey, we need a bass player, and he's like, I can do it all, like just let me know, send me the music, and then he's there, and dude's
so good.
Yeah, he's so
good. And he's classically trained and all that stuff too.
Yeah. So.
And he's just super cool. Just like one of the coolest people to be around. Just extra chill. Yeah, I want him to put some strings on this song that Ashley wrote that we've been working on called Dead Air. And Yeah.
Talk about that a little bit. When did you start that with Ashley? How?
Basically, as soon as she moved down, it was like, yo, you sing, come to band practice, and come hang out with Colin, because we've been jamming, and get yourself in here, get yourself plugged in. And then, like, once she got added to the group, it was just like, yo, a catalyst of just, we're doing things here and there. And so, like, basically, we practice every Tuesday, right? And we've been, for the last year, basically since I've moved back, I've tried to hang out with Colin and do music stuff weekly. And for a while, do you know Luke Griffin?
Yeah.
So Luke and Matt and all them folks of New Haven. Luke was hanging out with us, and
I went to high school with Matt.
That's right.
And so that's how I know him and the projects he's been in, because he's been in a couple of different.
He was also in Colonel Crunch and the Cereal Bowls.
He was?
I believe so.
Maybe Matt, he was in that band whenever I was in high school. Right. It's possible.
Yes, I believe so. Because he was like I think he was the one kid who was like not from North Hills that was a part of that band.
Interesting.
Or I know him and Bran played music together a bunch, because he was part of that circle with like Paul Eiler and Shiloh and all that stuff. Irving's just so everybody meshes, you know what I'm saying? There's Irving legends all over the place. Like Jessie Pereira, she was doing the blogging stuff before people were making blogs and vlogs and zines and stuff like that. She's the first person that ever introduced me to a zine, and now she's booking shows with the Screwed Up Clique, you know what I'm saying? Here in Dallas, and is running a weekly show and stuff like that. Shit is fucking dope. People from Irving are cool as fuck. War's from Irving, you know what I'm saying? Like, I love Irving, and I want to hold it down. Like, I want to put it more on the map. A little bit more. Irving legends are cool. Ashley came in, and then it was just like a catalyst of we're practicing every Tuesday, and then like we're jamming, writing songs, and songwriting is always interesting, because you like come up with stuff and it's like, oh, this sounds really good, and then it's like, oh, we gotta put some lyrics to it or not or whatever. So it's just figuring all that. So we have like a bunch of sounds that are
just starting to be pieced together,
and then I think we have like 3 or 4 that we're trying to really solidify. We've got 3 songs, Dead Air, Attention, and Control, that are pretty solid. That I think we're trying to decide if we're going to do like an EP first, or releasing is always an interesting thing to go about. Just like with ideas, getting stuff into playlists, and working, artist collaboration. We all have different ideas about stuff, and
yeah, man, there's a lot of different routes you can go, as far as releasing it goes. Recording and piecing together is like the fun stuff.
Yeah.
That's
I love jamming. On Tuesday, we're having people over to come jam. If you want to come through and jam.
Nice.
Jamming and pool partying after, like 8:30 and stuff in South Lake, if you're down.
Cool. Let's see. This Tuesday?
It'll be this Tuesday.
I think I might be playing disc golf, but let me double check that. It's been a long time.
After disc golf, the sun goes down. You want to come hop in the pool and cool off? Feel free.
Yeah, dude, that'd be fun. I was gonna say, it's been a long time since I've been to Irving.
Really?
Yeah, I don't really go to Irving very much anymore, and
you have some good reasons to not go to Irving. But I feel like there's always good reasons to not go to Irving. If you're from Irving, right?
Well, yeah, I guess so. Yeah, but one thing that I've kind of recognized about Irving, and like, because I didn't necessarily grow up in Irving for the most part. Like, I went to high school there, but the people that I met in high school and that I connected with outside of high school, I felt like there was more of a, I don't know, cultural exposure to things in Irving, because you have lots of different ethnicities, like all living together in a very like relatively small area. Like Irving isn't
the 75038 zip code. I think for like 8 years was almost like an even 25 split between like Asian, Black, Hispanic, and white. Yeah, that's 100%.
Yeah, but and that's what I really liked about living there, is that
it was hard to stay in a pocket.
Yeah, you can't.
It's really hard. Like, you have to try really hard to stay in a pocket. And there were, like, you know, your different pockets of, like, you know, the Rock Island kids, and you have the kids over, like, that were always at Running Bear, and you know, and folks who are like, I'm not going south of 183 ever. Which is ridiculous. Kids from like Coppell talking about Irving like it's the hood, and it's like, you're talking about Las Colinas, right? You've never been to Irving, right? Las Colinas before Las Colinas was Las Colinas.
And see, I grew up in South Irving, so it was like, you know, I was surrounded by the thick of it, so to speak, whenever it comes to what was considered like the bad part of Irving or whatever. And it didn't even seem bad. I think it was just old. You know what I mean? Like just old. But one thing that I thought was really cool about living in Irving was that from like a younger age, you have more to do in Irving than you do in other places, because you're right in between Fort Worth, Dallas, and then if you want to go an hour away, or, you know, an hour and a half away, you run into places like Denton or Frisco, or, you know, areas like that. And so, like, there's a lot of benefit for growing up in Irving. I could definitely tell. Like, I got into music heavily living in Irving, and I got exposed to tons of different kinds of music. And like was able to keep an open mind.
There's so many places to go see shows and go play music. Right. Like you said. 1, 2, 3, you know what I'm saying?
It's like all right there. Yeah. And you're in the middle of it. So
right in the middle, right next to the airport. Which is definitely like a big part of all the influence around, like being right there next to the international airport is definitely key. For sure. Yeah, just that exposure. And yeah, like I've never really thought about it. Like, definitely, like my teenage years, I was like, Irving sucks. There's nothing to do here. I have to go out to Dallas to do stuff. But I mean, like, once I was driving, that was fine. I was all over the place. Denton, Carrollton.
Yeah, and that's another strange thing about Irving. Is like, in Irving, there's not much to do, which is probably why everybody doesn't like
But Irving. There is now, you know what I'm saying? Like,
there is now.
You can go to Alamo Draft House, the Music Factory, or whatever, you know?
There's stuff being built and businesses that are recognizing its value being located there.
I guess there was always stuff to do. It was just like, I was into doing different kind of stuff at the time, you know what I'm saying? If I was more focused on health and being outdoors, there's tons of disc golf courses around, tons of rec centers. Campion Trails is an amazing jogging, walking park, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. Irving has an awesome, like, their parks are great. I was about to say awesome Parks and Recs program.
Yeah. Shout out to Lynn Harper, right?
Shout out Lynn Harper. Shout out Ray Serta. Shout out City of Irving. Shout out Jackie. Jackie was definitely holding it down for Parks and Rec, for show. That's my
man.
girl.
I just think back to all those moments when she was just like so stressed out with all of us working together at Cimarron.
Oh, I can't imagine having Jackie Carpenter as a boss. You know?
No, she just remember there was one It was that one year in particular. It was Brian, Daniel, me, Sam.
That just sounds
Annie.
like she was annoyed.
Annie was like the only cool one.
Oh, I love you.
that like never freaked out on anybody because she was so nice.
Yeah, just super sweet. Super sweet Annie.
Oh, man.
It's like, you have to be meaner. You need to be meaner.
So funny.
Lifeguard.
I used to get on Jackie's nerves. I used to make fun of her all the time because she would get so upset. It just made me happy.
It was very easy to annoy Jackie.
Yeah. Oh man, but
everything's crazy. Recently, I saw that Katie posted a post on Facebook that was like, or they were doing a hiring thing, and they were in the Irving Mall, and I was just like, not the Irving Mall. But I was also like, what positions are y'all trying to fill? Because, little part-time something, it could be cool. It could be cool.
Oh, yeah. Well, those are good times. But back to the music stuff. So, you've primarily stuck with bass, but some of the stuff that you've sent me, you've also been rapping a little bit.
Yeah, I've kind of always written poetry. In lyrics. So now it's interesting. I'm trying to find my voice and my style, and get better at singing and rapping and stuff.
I was gonna say, like, I don't think I ever really heard you rap or sing.
No, because there's always like, I don't know, there's always people better. Like all the musicians I was around, I was always like, these folks are better than me, you know what I'm saying? So instead of like bossing up and trying to add to my chops and collaborate, I was intimidated in all these spaces, you know what I'm saying?
I totally get that, man.
Yeah.
That's how I felt. Like, it might sound kind of silly, but in high school, me and Matt Fowler, we weren't like really friends, and it was mainly because of me, because I was like, I wasn't from Irving. I'm just new to the high school. He was, the guitar.
Yeah, he was a dude who was playing guitar. Always. Yeah.
And I was, I was heavily into baseball at the time. And
That's right. Yeah.
And I played music too, but like I was very, very shy about like showing certain people my music, and so then I got like a few friends that I felt comfortable like showing like, hey, this is the kind of stuff that I've been doing. But it was after maybe about a year or two of like focusing heavily on it before I showed anybody anything.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. And then like once I did start to show people, like word got around, and like Matt found out I played music, and then there was another guy that we went to high school with, Scott Riley. He
an image passed in front of my brain. I'm just like, Scott.
Yeah. But anyways, so they were both in bands in high school, and I didn't have a band, and so like I always felt like, oh, I'm not cool because I don't have a band. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I get that, man. I
chose to play bass, you know what I'm saying? So I couldn't practice at the fucking park, you know what I'm saying? You can't just take your lug around your bass amp and your electric bass, you know what I'm saying, and find something to fucking plug into. Yeah. And then,
well, and I feel like there's actually a lot of benefit to maybe not
becoming a guitarist.
Well, that, but also I think there's a lot of benefit of not, I guess, getting into like being a band at a young age, and like just focusing on learning an instrument.
Yeah,
because it kind of opens you up to, try other avenues, try other things you want to do, and like now you're starting to do like a band setting a little bit more seriously.
Way more seriously than ever. You've tried to, a few times.
Yeah, but like
with some of the same members, you know what I'm saying?
Exactly. Yeah. And like now you've had all this time, and you've exposed yourself to so many different things, and So like you're kind of at an advantage in a way,
and have more informed consent and come from an empowered position to like put stuff out there.
And you're not influenced by anything you've done before, really, that you've put out before. So like you don't, you know what I mean? So you don't have like some weird expectation that like people like, I know what Pierce sounds like, you know?
So that's something that that I think it's really interesting with that, like a lot of artists, and maybe that's just me and my like, I don't give a shit what you say about me type thing, you know what I'm saying? And like, for example, the main complaint on my OnlyFans right now is like, I'm not giving people what they want. Y'all are my fans. I'm putting what I want on that website, regardless of what it is, you know what I'm saying? Like, and if you don't like it, that's fine. And that's how I feel about it, you know what I'm saying? That's how I feel about most of the stuff I produce. I don't feel like, I know, like, different homies have been like, well, there's, like you said, there's an expectation, and, you know, folks like what they like, but also, like, I'm never gonna put myself in a box for what people want to hear. Like, if you want to hear this type of stuff, go listen to that type of music. Go listen to that project over and over again. You know what I'm saying? Go listen to one of my homies who also makes the same kind of music, or that I was collabing with at that time, or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm already pushed into a lot of boxes and feel like, I guess that's a big thing for me. Like, I've always felt like I've had to perform to a certain standard of like perfectionism, and just code changing is a superpower. You have to do it to fit in. It's survival, you know, as a half Nigerian, half American person who didn't really fit in or like have a place to fit in. It's like I kind of have to like create my own spaces, or like force myself in. So like, hey, you may notice me or may not, but like, I'm here, I'm valuable, whatever.
Yeah, and I think that's definitely shaped your personality quite a bit, because I noticed that, and maybe, you know, homeschooling had a little bit to do with it too, but
homeschooling had a lot to do with my personality, for sure.
But you've always been a very direct person. Like, whenever I watched you interact with people, just from my time, like from whenever I like first met you, around those few years, whenever I first met you, I always like noticed that you kind of you weren't like fearful of like saying anything.
I'm not,
or like handling anything.
Yeah, and I had a lot of debate background. Like, I took a speech class, and my two teachers at the end of it, they're like, Pierce, you have vicious rhetoric and a witty repartee. And I was like, what does that mean? Fucking looked that up, and that shit's true. Rhetoric is vicious. My repartee is witty. I got witty banter, and I'm direct. I'm to the point. I don't know. I also don't like to make assumptions, like, especially like with work, since I work in mental health, right? People got different names for things. People and saying like, I want that. I'd always try to clarify. Like, hey, I want some water. All right. Do you want water? Do you want ice in it? Or no, because there have been times where you give a motherfucker ice and it causes a whole problem, you know what I'm saying? Now I've just triggered this person, and that sucks, you know?
Are you still doing the last hospital that you were working at?
Yeah, I'm with the Texas Health still.
Okay. Cool. That's it's really cool that you stuck with it for so long, because I know it's a tough industry, you know?
I've been feeling pretty burnt out recently, honestly. Yeah, I'm trying to redefine my boundaries and like my personal relationships, because I definitely like overextend and have overextended in the past, for sure. Like, part of the reason I don't have a car right now still is because I felt like God was really telling me to slow down. And then when I got in that wreck, it was like, I do need to slow down.
When did you get into a wreck? Because the last time I saw you, you still had a car.
Yeah, so right before the ice storms hit, like literally the week before everything iced over, I was leaving Colin's spot in Irving, driving back to my place on Story, and someone in a Silverado hit me and then ran off and just totaled my shit.
Damn.
Yeah, it was cold as fuck. I walked, my phone was like almost dead. I like got out of the car and I was like, fuck. Walked to the Valero, Story in Rochelle, and then walked all the way back to, Story in Findlay, or past Findlay? No. Colin lives off Story Northgate and Country Club, so walked all the way over there so I could charge my phone and call for a ride and all of that. It was annoying. That
sounds like an experience, man. Huh. I've never been in a car accident before.
Really?
Thank God, yeah. But that could be a sign to slow down for sure.
I've totaled had 3 vehicles totaled. Yeah.
That's insane, man.
Yeah, and that one, like, usually it's rain stuff. Like, I hate driving when it's rainy now, because hydroplaned into someone in front was like stopping too hard or doing something different, texting or whatever, and hydroplane lost control, and have ran into folks like that before.
It's really easy to do, man. It happens because like my car will hydroplane, but I think it's mainly because it's so light. You know, like my car is only like 2,000 pounds or 3,000 pounds. It's really not that heavy. And so driving it like it just I can feel whenever I'm on the highway, specifically the wind pushing it back.
Yeah,
freaks me out sometimes, man. But yeah, it's really easy to lose traction.
My homie's dad was telling me about when he was driving trailers. What you can call it. There was one time he was driving and he had a bunch of cattle on his load, but the load in front of him was empty, and they were going past they were in the mountains. They were in Colorado, and they're going past a butte, like a cliffside, and then that cliffside disappeared, and it was just an open way and super, super windy. The dude in front of him's trailer, when they went to turn, went all the way around and folded while he was trying to make that turn. I was like, that's fucking scary.
Hell no.
Scary. Scary.
Yeah, dude.
Fuck. But yeah, being direct, that's cool that you say that.
Well, it's something I always admired, because like for me, having like some sort of having security in like what I believe or like what I think, and then actually saying it out loud has always been it's always been a very difficult thing for me to do. And I felt a lot of anxiety from like my younger, I guess my older adolescence, like 18, 19, 20, 21, like that, those 4 years in particular, I was just like holding on to a lot at the time. And like through our friendship, I realized a lot of different things just by like listening to you, and then just kind of like watching how you were with all the people that you knew, and whenever I decided to go back to college, like one of the main reasons I decided to do so.
Yeah, I was so stoked for you.
Yeah.
Like, I'm gonna go study history. I'm like, oh my boy, gonna become a fucking library.
But one of the main like reasons why I decided to do that is because I remember right before you graduated college, I came out here and hung out with you in Denton, and just remember thinking like, oh shit, he did all that in those 4 years, and like I haven't done nearly as much as I could be doing.
You were beating yourself up a lot.
Yeah,
a lot during that period.
I was, yeah, and a lot of it has to do with just where I come from, and I'm sure the way that you are has a lot to do with where you come from. But like, I noticed that you had a level of inner security that I didn't have, and I didn't have like a way to work it out. And so, it's awesome that I know you, because you going to school for psychology and like being able to explain some of the things that you were learning and like kind of introducing me to that world.
These ideas.
It got me to think about things in an intellectual way that I don't think I would have been able to do. And then at that point, like, actually take my own mental health seriously enough to actually do something about it.
Empower yourself.
Yeah. So, knowing you and being able to kind of bounce
ideas and stuff off of each other.
Well, that, but also be able to bounce, my perspective, have you interpret it and then bounce it back to me. Like, just the normal dialogue that happens between friends. You did it in a way that was a little bit more mature than I would have been able to get from a friend of mine that was, a year older or the same age as me. Or
because I was trying to be very objective in those situations,
Yeah.
For sure. It was just like, regardless of what this person's saying, here's what they're saying, you know what I'm saying? And then emotionally, they could be saying a lot of the things, because like, communication's so weird, and everybody says communication is key, but like, you can talk all day to someone and we can talk all night, but if we don't understand each other, have like comprehension of what each other's talking about,
you walk away with two different things.
The person is gonna like go out and two different ideas that would be executed in two different ways, which is cool. Like that's amazing that humans are able to do that and interpret things in different ways. But like, like with speech and debate classes and stuff, like being able to speak to an audience and have your audience understand what you're saying is something that's kind of always been ingrained in me. And
I think people's inner health has a lot to do with how they interpret things.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's your self-talk.
Yeah.
You're going to hear things the way you talk to yourself.
So even if someone is saying good things about you or to you,
if you don't believe that about yourself innately, if you don't love yourself, you're not going to believe that. And I'm like, okay, cool, or whatever. And that might lift you up for a little bit, but you're going to be like, no, that person, a lot of people are like, that person doesn't believe that, or whatever.
Yeah. And that's something I really struggled with that I think you recognized a long time ago in our friendship.
I love you. You're great, dude. Like, and like a lot of my friends have a really negative self-talk. Like a lot of, like, I feel like a good amount of my friends are way more on the anxious spectrum of like mental health than on, like, way more anxious than I am. I'm definitely way more like major depressive. major depressive. All my homies got depression, for sure. But like, definitely the people who tend to be drawn to me or I'm drawn around tend to be more anxious people, which is interesting. I was listening to someone talk about depression, and it made
believe it or not, hearing this was very uplifting. And he was very crude about it, but this guy was like an ex world champion kickboxer.
Okay.
And he came from a pretty rough background. His dad was abusive and died whenever he was really young. Abusive towards his mom, not towards him. But then his mom finished.
That's still abuse towards him. He had to experience that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. But so he just got heavily into fighting and became a millionaire, and traveled the world and started doing very, very awesome things with his life. But the way he has a very macho persona, you know what I mean? And he went on this rant on this video I was watching one time where he was like, depression doesn't exist. And you know why it doesn't exist? Because I don't believe in depression. And he was like, if you don't believe in depression, then you don't you don't ever get to that. You don't ever get to that point where you even consider not doing something because you're out of because you believe this victim mentality, you know what I mean? And then this is after I had already gone to therapy and such, and I think his overall intentions were good.
Yeah, you can take
good in that
there's
message.
There's a lot you can take good from that, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because I do think that some people get caught up in one of my I listen to a lot of stuff by David Foster Wallace, a lot of his interviews. Okay. And something that he mentioned is that American culture has sort of glorified victimization in
American culture is slow suicide.
Yeah, it really is.
Period, point blank. That's what we learn.
Yeah,
I leaned into the mic for that. American culture is slow suicide. Look at all of our friends who are drinking, drinking is fine, right? But alcohol's poison. You know what I'm saying? American culture is let's get fucked up on the weekends. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Let's spend a bunch of money.
Let's overeat.
Let's overeat. Let's overconsume. Let's get tons. There's sugar in everything.
Yeah.
You know how you control a population? Get them addicted to drugs. You know what is a number one psychoactive drug? Fucking refined sugar, man. Try to cut that shit out of your...
Subtle, yeah.
Cut that shit out of your diet. The withdrawals are going to be crazy. Crazy. Talk to anybody who's done Whole30.
It increases your brain function whenever you stop in consuming that much sugar too. You know me. I mean, I went through a time where I was slamming down energy drinks and was, eating all kinds of crap. And as soon as I figured out that something was wrong, then I had to do something about it, and I made the change. I feel like that's whenever I was able to tap into all of this mental energy potential. You know what I mean? And then it's once you get yourself on that trajectory, it's really just sky's the limit.
Yeah. Disease comes from your diet. It's what you're consuming mentally, physically, spiritually, all of that. And like that dude saying, I don't believe in depression, that's a coping skill. You know what I'm saying? I think
he finds empowerment in believing that depression doesn't exist for him.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
For sure. And he's also just he's been a fighter. He has a survival mentality. Fight or flight is his life. You know what I'm saying? And it's more fight than flight, right? Because it's his... If he goes up there and he doesn't fight well, he doesn't beat the shit out of this person, have a good match or whatever, he loses. He ain't making money.
Yeah.
So...
Yeah, well, it was kind of inspiring. And, what I was going to mention about the David Foster Wallace thing is, David Foster Wallace meant, he went in detail and, kind of explained the media narratives that have kind of been put upon the general population, and like the idols in American society tend to be broken people. So we tend to glorify people that aren't very responsible, that have a lot of like emotional baggage that they wear on their sleeve. You know what I mean? And you look at, just in particular, like the music culture, like who are some of our biggest, music stars that have gone. And the reason, Kurt Cobain killed himself, Amy Winehouse drank herself to death, basically killed herself. You know what I mean? Like, we glorify these people.
Got Peep and Juice WRLD from the new age now, you know what I'm saying?
And yeah, I mean, it's very prevalent in the rap scene too. I mean, like, they glorify drug use and, just abusing your body. Like, it's definitely a systemic issue kind of underlying our culture, and it kind of it quite literally, and it's going to sound like an old person saying this, but it corrupts the youth. And it, like, I know that for me, like, it set me on a negative path for a while, and I didn't even realize its effects until I was,
I wanted to join the 27
in
club.
my mid-20s. Yeah,
I'm 28 this year. I did not think I would turn 28. Right? Yeah. And, like, just like you're saying, those are the folks I grew up listening to, you know what I'm saying? I was also depressed. So, like, yeah, I idolized Cobain and Hendrix and stuff like that. And also, like, I didn't want to be alive at all. Now,
and that's such a strange thing to experience as a youth growing up, like, in what is arguably the most abundant nation in the world. So
we've got a lot of time, a lot of opportunity. So many people do so much with so little. And a lot of us have a bunch and don't do anything with it, And that's why, like, that same, like, I don't want to victim blame anybody or anything like that, but, like, my family is from Nigeria, you know what I'm saying? I go to developing nations, third world countries, whatever the fuck you want to call them. There's places the same wherever you're at, right? Low SES society, right? Folks are going to hustle, and then definitely in, like, Nigeria, folks have a job. Little kids get up and they're busting ass to provide for their family. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They're all, values are different, right? We're going to live in this small spot and all contribute until we can get into a bigger spot and, just build that way. America's got
there's a heavier responsibility for, I think, kids in other nations.
Yeah, the family. I mean, it's survival, right? And here we have so much. Kids don't have to work unless you're working for your family. You know what I'm saying? And chances are you're not really working for your family as a kiddo unless you're an immigrant. A firstborn, or what you call it, first generation American, or you came over here young or something like that, and you're working in the family business or something like that. It's interesting.
We have a lot to be grateful for, and I think that gets lost a lot. And I think that I lost that about, myself for a while, and I'm sure you have too at points. It's really easy to get caught up in what we're told we're supposed to think is, the most important thing in life.
And also, like, I'm unlearning a lot and relearning a lot. Like, there's so many traditions, things that we just do without questioning. Why do we do this?
What does it represent?
What does it represent? Is this what I want to do, or is this just what has been commonplace in society. This is routine. This is what I see. This is what has influenced me. I've always been pretty counterculture. I don't like traditionalism.
And that's where we both connect. Yeah. Even though you come from a very traditional family.
Very fucking traditional family.
And I don't.
I'm a prince, yo. Like, if I go back home, I've got to do some traditional stuff. And that's also, like, something I've been struggling with. Like, I've got resources and, I don't want to be, America's cool, you know what I'm saying? But, like, I feel like as an American, I'm an American, but I'm not, right? I'm a dual citizen. And I also, like, I don't know, I feel like I have a responsibility for, even though I haven't lived there, but I know it's coming because I'm paying attention. I'm paying attention to the world. I know that I've been saying for the last, 5-10 years, by 2025, Nigeria is going to be like one of the main places of commerce and information. It's going to be the place to be by 2025.
Oh yeah.
Been saying that for like 10 years now. Look at the trajectory of the world. Folks are trying to get out of the States, you know what I'm saying? The dollar is crashing. Africa's trying to unite again, you know, it's finally time. Things are happening, man. And it's also like, I feel like I have a responsibility here as American to help teach and educate people, right? And help uplift and empower them. Like, that's what I'm here to do. Use my resources to help connect people and make their dreams come true. But also, I have all this opportunity back home in Nigeria and SA, where I have land that I can start growing, and, you know, that's where people are gonna go. So, like, maybe I should go and start preparing a place over there, you know, and just be like, fuck all this, you know, I don't really want to be here. This place is not, the laws and rules and regulations, like, they don't exist for people like me, you know what I'm saying? Like, everything about this country is really trying to oppress me and, you know, people that look like me, or just like people who think like me, you know what I'm saying? People who believe in love, people who want to share resources and collaborate and not compete and not engage in.
America's become a little bit totalitarian, you know. I would say not even a little bit anymore. It's a lot of it. And what's worse too is that people are,
and it's privatized totalitarianism.
Yeah, but what's worse too is that people are willingly giving more and more control to our government on a yearly basis.
Because they don't want to read and they don't want to participate, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and who knows where that goes, but I know it's not working out very well in
the
other places of the world.
The forefathers kind of knew where that went, you know what I'm saying? And it went exactly how they said it would. Corporations run in America because the folks complacent, you know? But I think that, that's like big government thing, but like part of it is people don't participate on local levels. Like, most of what is going to change
is going to start in your city.
In your city. Those are the people you're saying, these are the people who are going to talk to these people, who are going to talk to these people, who are going to talk to these people, right? If you don't have folks in your city where you live, like, that align with your values and stuff like that, you might be unhappy.
Yeah, and it's going to get harder and harder to keep those people accountable.
Yes.
The more and more we become complacent as a society, and what's difficult now more than ever is that congregating on similar unrest, you know, with the way things are, is justification enough for our government to classify you as a domestic terrorist.
Domestic terrorist, yeah.
You know, and it's just like, okay, so what are we supposed to do about this? You know, like if because we want to.
I'm pretty sure this Constitution was this is my rights.
Right.
I'm pretty sure this country was made because a bunch of people were fucking tired and decided to go beat some people up and shoot some people, you know what I'm saying? And that's what I think, like, you're a historian. How many, like, overall changes in big governments have happened that have been, like, real peaceful?
None. So, yeah.
There we go.
Let's see where this goes, and you know, there's a lot of parallels between what's happening in American culture now within the past, I would say, 30, 40 years, and what happened in ancient Rome before it became an empire. There's like so many different parallels, and kind of that being put aside, with the advancement of technology and our global economy, and this lost sense of national pride. America and just Americans in general have just sort of accepted this apathy towards any like solidarity between each other. Yeah, you know what I mean? Because
I feel that. I see that.
Because there's so much information, and there's so many other things that we're exposed to that we can't help but be empathetic towards it. Like, if you're not a sociopath and you see people in other countries that are getting, you know, their families murdered and ripped apart because of your country's bombs that are being dropped on them, and you, like, as a reasonable citizen, have recognized that we've had, you know, military conflicts, like 90 to 80% of our country's existence. It's really hard to it's really hard, like, as a individual, to justify and find any sort of, like, sense of
decency or pride
pride, but like any sense of morality out of the situation. Because on one hand, I think as Americans, we have a duty to find that solidarity between each other and fix the things that are broken, and uphold the values that the Constitution was written in, and the things that have been amended to the Constitution post when it was written, that have, you know, shaped the course of our history, that we've, you know, achieved things that most countries never get a chance to get even close to, you know?
Or haven't been
given the opportunity to even get there. And so, like, there's a level,
mainly because of the U.S.
There's a level of responsibility that I think citizens of today are going to be forced to wake up to. But another thing that we have to think about is that the things that we see online, and the narratives that we see online, even from just like the average individual, we can't take as complete truths anymore, because there's an entire intellectual industry of other countries to, like, infiltrate our society in ways,
and always has been. I think who was me and my roommate Jacoby were just talking about that not too long ago. You know what I'm saying? Like, or was it my dad? We were just talking about, like, back in the day, folks were super fearful of, like, KGB operatives being here. You know what I'm saying? Those folks have been here for a long time and had kids and stuff like that, you know, like, information games, you know, like we've infiltrated other countries and done stuff like that. Like I know like we're doing that, you know what I'm saying?
So it's,
you know, there's circles of people who they're all over, you know what I'm saying? And I think what's interesting, like you were talking about like technology and time and information, like our bodies and brains have not evolved with technology, right? Like we're so exposed to so much information, and especially working with like adolescents and mental health and stuff like that, like you grow up and you're on the internet, you know what I'm saying? I had a few years to like prime myself before I started getting in like deep in the internet. Like, you know, the internet was expanding when I was able to get on it, you know what I'm saying? And like, I'm a denizen of the internet. I was there when I'm older than YouTube. I'm older than Google, you know what I'm saying? That shit was like seeing stuff on Flash Player and like there's definitely not fucked up, you know what I'm saying? Just seeing crazy stuff on the internet. And now like kids have access pretty instantly, and so they're bombarded with information, lots of information, without a real way to filter it emotionally, mentally.
And the parents used to be the filters of information. Previously, where it was like, hey, I know you saw that, but that's not really good.
We could brief on it. The computer was, there was one computer in the house, you know what I'm saying? You had to ask to use the computer.
That's the age I grew up in. Is like, you know, we had one computer in the house and we could, you know, watch it, but we had to leave the door open.
Exactly.
My mom had to watch it. You know, like,
parents are gonna come in and check on you or whatever. You know, like playing RuneScape was risky. You know what I'm saying? It's like you can play RuneScape, but you can't chat with anybody. I was chatting with everybody. But now it's just like, that's right there. I'm learning about some bombing or some crisis or whatever, and like you said, there's nothing to, unless you have that dialogue with your folks. And let's face it, most families don't, you know what I'm saying? Like, thank God for a lot of these new kids and like my friends' kiddos that are going to be very emotionally intelligent, because we're having conversations with them, we're talking to them, we're trying to monitor what's going on and stuff like that and be responsible. But like, a lot of folks aren't down to have the patience and time to sit down and talk to their kids about what's going on or what they're seeing. What are you experiencing?
For sure. And I think another like big issue, especially with the coming generation, is just you know, we live in a hyper-sexualized society, and like a hyper competitive society now. And I think
super hyper competitive.
I think America has been always competitive.
For sure.
I don't think that's ever been in question. But we're because of inflation, and because of our national wage gap, and a lot of the other social things that have been going on, like the Black Lives Matter protests and movement, and the sort of disparaging viewpoints that have been suppressed by reasonable thinking, you know, intellectuals that the media just like actively, you know, pushes down, like Andrew Yang being one of them, you know, who was a clear candidate that had a lot of public support, that was just...
Well, good idea. It's a good start. Good start if you want to go somewhere.
Yeah, it just like kind of shoved out of the conversation. it's setting us, like, all those things are setting us on a trajectory that's
failure.
It's going to be very problematic for sure.
Yeah.
But, I really like these conversations with you. We'll definitely hang out next week. If not Tuesday, maybe the weekend or something. We can
for sure. Out. We should do this again for sure.
Yeah, man.
We scratched the surface of some topics.
Yeah, we did. Oh, yeah. Maybe we can do another episode sometime.
Could I
more detail?
play you a song?
Yeah, go for it.
Have you? I'll play you Dead Air real quick.
All right. Is this uploaded anywhere?
It's not. This is a demo.
You gonna play it through the mic or what?
Yeah, I guess I'll play it through the mic. That's fine. Yeah, I'll play it up to the mic. It'll pick it up for sure. It'll sound weird, but yeah.
We'll play the song and then we'll end the podcast there, so that I can let my dog out.
Oh yeah. You can definitely.
He's just got so much energy. He can't hang out down here, otherwise he'd be knocking the table over and barking at people outside.
I understand. Okay. This is a song Ashley wrote, and then we put bass to it, and we don't have a drummer, but we need a drummer.
Well, I play drums now, so
that is right. Been trying to get you to come to a practice and beat some sticks. Also, do you have that electric drum set still?
No, I got an actual drum set.
Okay,
it's over at my jam spot for the guys in Spacehead.
Right. Oh, okay, right.
So,
yeah.
Which we haven't practiced in a long time, but next week is supposed to be our first week back.
Cool. That'll be exciting. We need to come to you sometime then, is what it sounds like. I mean, that's, drum sets.
Yep, drum sets.
Your eyes burn bright. Every time I shut mine, it's not my choice to be plagued by your haunting voice. I know it hurts, but the numbness was so much worse. So I smile and I laugh, and I act like it's not that bad, like you're just dead air. I turn the dial and there's nothing there. Am I in? Am I out? Is there a reason you keep me around? 'Cause we fight and we fuck and pretend that's enough, and we try to deny that the road's gotten rough. So I beg you, use me, 'cause you see right through me. Remember when you cared before the dead air. It's nice in the light, but the colors all fade at night. So I reach through the sheets, but you're miles away from me. 'Cause we fight and we fuck and pretend that's enough, and we try to deny that the road's got enough. So I beg you, use me, 'cause you see right through me. Remember when you cared. We've been through this before, 10,000 times or more. Like a revolving door, you're never letting go of me. We've been through this before, 10,000 times or more. Like a revolving door, you're never letting go of me. And you drink every drop of me. 'Cause we fight and we fuck and pretend that's enough, and we try to deny that the road
That came through the mic really nicely too.
Yeah,
I was sort of surprised.
Wasn't sure how that was gonna come out.
Yeah, me neither. So that was awesome, man. Well, it's good to see you again. Thanks for watching, guys.
Always love. Thank y'all for watching me. Thank you for having me.
Yes. All right.
Appreciate you.
Until next time.
Conspicuous bliss, y'all. I love you.